Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave answering questions from tested patrons. And today's question comes from patron KeelyCatsMom. They want to know, what was the most exciting thing you came across in your Makerspace Tour series? Thank you for that great question. Makerspace Tour series is a series that we did here on Tested, sponsored by Chevron, traveling around to makerspaces around the country and kind of just getting a feel for what the makerspace landscape was like in the U.S. This was an offshoot of work that I was doing at the tail end of the Obama administration, helping them promote making around the country and around the world. And I traveled to dozens of makerspaces all over the U.S. over the better part of a year, and it was thrilling. It was thrilling. I saw some amazing things. And I shared the love of making with hundreds of people over the course of that video series. But two experiences stand out. One is a space called Artisans Asylum in Boston. And that space was incredible. It happens to also be populated by a couple people that I know. Bob Plugfelder, Science Bob on Jimmy Kimmel, who's one of my favorite science communicators and a very good friend. Bob has a space there. And what? Oh, all right. Just got a text. Anyway, Artisan Asylum. What was amazing about Artisans Asylum? It was a huge warehouse with dozens and dozens of artists who had spaces in the warehouse, commonly shared tools, lockable spaces for each of the artisans to work. And there was an energy about the space that I found almost intoxicating. Not least of which because it kind of felt like this space. Just crap everywhere on the walls, everywhere on the ceiling, stuff in progress. I like a lot of visual cacophony. I find it inspirational. And if I had one criticism of makerspaces in general that I came across for this whole makerspace tour, it is that makerspaces tend to be overly clean for my taste. I don't mean clean floors, like yes, those should be clean and the benches should be clean, etc. I mean stuff on the walls. So if you have a makerspace, I think that you should be putting up the iterations of failed and eventually successful builds up on the wall. If someone made a Formula One car and it took them 3 prints to get it right, I think you should hang all 4 prints on the wall and show me the progression of failure to success. Yes, I think it is really important that the space let people know what the space can do and what the denizens of that space can do. That narrative is an important one. And I look around here and the narrative tells me to get to work, and I like that feeling. And Artisans Asylum is just like this. There's just stuff everywhere of every different stripe. There's welding, there's bicycles, there's Christmas trees, there's tutus and ball gowns, huge puppets, motorcycles, you name it, there are different people working on it. And the people there as well. I found the denizens of the Artisans Asylum to be really lovely. The other inspiring story I found was in, I hope I'm getting this right, the Elizabeth Forward High School in New Jersey. I'm just going to double check that. But I just want to get this right. And you're just going to wait while I do it. Pennsylvania. See? East Coast all sort of blends together after you've driven around a bunch. Oh, who's this? Hello?
This is an urgent message for the vehicle owner. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
Bam. So, the Elizabeth Forward High School in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. And what was inspiring about that makerspace? They gave one of the teachers there a bunch of 3D printers and said, here's your new makerspace. And the teacher that I met with and talked to didn't know how to operate 3D printers. So she worked with her class, all these young girls, like 14, 15 years old, to get the 3D printers up and running. And then the teacher took her students to a nearby assisted living facility. And each student, each high school student, adopted one of the residents of the assisted living facility. And the assignment was to use the makerspace that they had to improve the life of the resident that you had adopted and iterate that improvement. So for instance, one of the students worked with one of the inhabitants of the assisted living facility and said, what's the biggest problem you have? And the person said, I can't hold on to the remote. My hands don't work the way they used to. So she made her a large, comfortable handle that held the remote so that the resident could use it. And it took 3 tries to get it right. There are so many levels on which that is an amazing and almost perfect curriculum for a makerspace in a high school, in a public forum. On just the practical front, the iteration, the iterative process of working with somebody else who is vastly different than you in age, right? These are 14, 15-year-old girls, and these are, 60, 70, 80-year-old residents. Their common ground is not wide. And working with someone you don't have a lot of common ground with, to iterate something that they will like, that is a huge amount of really important life experience each of those students was, and hopefully is still getting from that curriculum. Then there is the ethical and wonderful moral center of going to help somebody else with this skill that you are learning. The empathy that is required for, a 15-year-old human being is effectively made of rubber bands and plastic, right? You can throw them off a building and they'll bounce right back. I know, not quite like that, but frankly, possessing one of these older models, it's like, yeah, at 15, you feel totally invincible. And so for a 15-year-old high school student to find common ground with an elderly assisted living resident, that is a separate and also super important and beautiful life lesson to give these students. And putting them together within this space of rapid manufacturing, man, those kids are just learning so much good, solid, practical stuff that they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. I was so moved by that story and by those students and what they were doing. There are many, many more wonderful people, places, and spaces that I visited. If you're anywhere near Santa Fe and they're open again, or when they open, you should get yourself to Meow Wolf. That was another unbelievable makerspace. Was that part of the tour? I actually can't remember if it was part of the tour or if it was just part of the first NomCon. At any rate, KeelyCatsMom, thank you for that great question. I liked going back over those 2 experiences and thinking about them. I really appreciated it. Like I keep on saying, the Tested Patrons, you folks are so awesome. Your questions just get better and more interesting. Thank you so much. Keep posting them and I will keep answering them. And I will see you guys, as always, next time.